Hello model car fans, welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Raul, and this week I want to update you on my 71 Pontiac GTO restoration project from this MPC kit that I've had sitting around, and as the box states, I was doing in 2007 is when I started it. I started marking my boxes dates to give me an idea how long they've been a project. And this one's come quite a way this year, so I'm pretty pleased with it. I figured I would get you caught up and show you some of the progress and some of the challenges I have run into during this build. Nothing really with the chassis here, so it's pretty nice. I still have to cut the exhaust tips, but I made these exhaust pipes and it broke right here, and modified it because the chassis came from a 72 donor kit. My original 71 chassis was jacked up in the back, and so I didn't use it, but I had to find a more recent release 72, but some of them have the screw holes molded in and some of them don't. So just finding one of the ones that has the holes so that I can bolt this one down and use the screws for the chassis. And I had a small issue making sure the axle tube fit. I had to clearance inside here a little bit so that this axle pin would go through. So since the 72 exhaust comes out the side, I had to make it come out like the 71s did, which I didn't have from my original kit because the exhaust was cut from it from being jacked up. Everything else on this is pretty much straightforward. Got it all fitted, put the firewall in it and battery. I still have to detail paint some items like the top of the battery and the cells and the clamps and the radiator cap, and put an upper radiator hose on it because I don't have one. But I'll make that happen. And another thing, got my my resin cast air cleaner, so that's assembled and painted. But I had to get the decal. Here's the 455 decal that goes on it, and I just grabbed it out of my parts stash. Since I've done many of these, I've got extra decals here, which is where it came from. But like I get these decals from Keith Marks. That's where these came from. Here's a set of judge stripes in green, and a set of judge stripes in a couple of different colors, because I plan to do a couple of 71 judges, so the convertible and whatnot. But so here's the decals that I get from him, and you can see the 455 here and the hood tack here, and then the black GTO plus the white ones, which aren't on this one. They're right here, all the white ones right here, and then Ram Air 3 and Ram Air 4 and Ram Air and 455 HO, which I'm going to use a lot of those. But this one being a base model, I did not put any decals on the body, but the body is painted and it's cleared. And I got the windows in, which ended up being a little bit more of a pain. I was a little surprised there. So when it comes to the paint, I did paint it Scale Finishes Atomic Orange, and this is a base coat, and it's been cleared on top, so it's already got the clear coat on it. So I've been foiling it. I'm not done with some of this stuff, so I foiled all around the windows so I can get the glass in. And I haven't foiled the handles or the rocker trim or around the wheels yet, or even the front markers, or side markers I should say. But I still need to paint the GTO badges black, and then back here the GTO back here black. And here's the rear bumper. I got my rear bumper fitted. This is a resin copy from the 70 MPC GTO. It fits much better. The 71 one is real wide. I got the taillights in. I still have to detail the white backup light here and then some of the silver, so that's all going to get detail painted and in there. But this bumper's fitted, and I notched it for the exhaust and blacked out the entire inside, so you can see that. The glass, this is from the Repop kit, so it says 70 GTO on it, but it's fresh glass. But I had to oval these holes a little bit to make it fit in better and get it to fit. You see some of the white glue still hasn't dried. And when it does dry, I'll black all this out and clear that, because you can see some of the areas where I glued it in once. I was having trouble getting it to fit, so I pulled it out, and some of the white glue pulled some of the black paint. So this glass has been glued in a couple of times now. This is the second time, but it's fitting much to how I like it. And it fits the cowl here. This is the cowl I switched out. And I had the A-pillar snap on me again, so I had to re-super glue that and try not to mess up the paint. So you really can't tell, which I'm happy to say, because it's a clean break, but it's broken before. So the glasses will need a little bit more cleaning. Got to mount the rearview mirror and black out. And some of the reason I black this out is, you know, you really don't, most people don't look in there to see the headliner, but I like to do the headliner and do all of that, and I'll black it out. For example, here, I'll set this down. Here is the glass from my 71 Camaro kit that I'm also working on. Now this one, it has a tan interior, a dark beige interior this color, and the whole headliner is painted this color. And the reason I did it to this glass here is you can see where the glass is frosted right here from when it was glued in before. I don't know why, but only one side was glued. Made it easy to remove. And, you know, polish a little bit here. But that, even after I glue that, that's still visible, so I paint this side of it. And even though, you know, most of my models aren't really seen outside of, you know, the show and me doing it and whatnot, but like sometimes I get tempted to sand off the 71 Camaro, but I decide to leave it because it's a vintage kit, and that's one of the things the vintage kits have, where on more modern kits that have the copyright date and stuff on the chassis, like the Revell kits, I love to sand that off. I don't like that visible, but I'll leave it on the glass. But it's usually not visible because once it's glued in, you can't see it. But that's just me and personal preference. And it's funny, you can still see some of the black from it being painted black on it before. But that's what I do with there. Hood's painted, and then I got some bare metal foil across the back portion of it. I still got to put some black in the cowl vents, but I love that color. It's technically not a factory color, but there was a similar factory color. But I'm loving the way this came out. I got a couple of boogers in the paint here that I need to polish out or not, but I decided since I was doing a plain Jane 71 GTO, there's no hood tack and there's no ram air badges on it, so I'm just kind of leaving it to that. When it comes to the interior, one of the things I did do, when it comes to where I swapped the cowl vent here for the later one that has a little bit more detail, and I like the way it looks, but even on the later 72 kits, this firewall glues directly to the interior tub, and then the firewall is recessed under this, which I didn't really like. So when it came to this, I started, let's put it in there. So there it's in place. So now the firewall is pretty snug up to the cowl here, which is pretty cool. So I moved it forward, and I spaced it forward with this piece of styrene block you see right there. That's how I did it. Just spaced it forward and glued it in place. It did present a couple of problems of its own. You see how I dremeled the heater box there, and there's a small hole, but you really can't see it. I had to do that because now that it's mounted, it was hitting this wheel well, and it's a whole lot closer to this distributor, which is accurate to the real car. And I think it kind of makes the engine compartment a little bit better. Still MPC engine compartment. Like my alternator's really crooked and nothing I can do about it. I kept trying to get it straight, but it kept doing that. But I decided I was going to leave it. But once the air cleaner's sitting on top of it, it kind of distracts from that. So and this is more this way. So once that's glued in place, I think it'll distract from it anyway. But all of this fits now, and I made sure the chassis fits. I mean, the chassis and this interior have been in and out of this car I don't know how many times. You see my resin cast inner door handle and armrest. Those came out looking really good, and they fit really nicely. So you can see, you know, both sides there. So really happy with those, and there's plenty of room because these seats, there's plenty of room in there for the seats and everything. So real happy with the way that came out. So this thing's getting pretty done. I've got a few things to do. some detail painting, and work on the wheels here. Here's the Honeycomb Wheels, which these are chrome plated, and they were resin. I had them plated years ago, and I trimmed the resin, sanded them, so now they sit flat and flush and glue in place, and they fit the tires. So these are looking pretty good. And all I got to do is paint the centers silver and detail out the lettering. I'll do a video on that to show you how I do that, because I keep getting asked how I do that. So I'll do a video strictly on that, and then that's going to be coming up fairly soon. But this thing's looking really good, and it's almost done. I got everything else fitted. About the only other thing I run into, this all fit. The headlights I had to put to space them out because they were a little too far sunken in, but these are resin copies of the 71s, original ones, which I think look better than the 72 ones. And then my 71 marker lights that I put here, these ones, they didn't quite fit. I had to sand around the edges and just narrow them down a little bit so they would drop in there. So they didn't quite fit. They were just a little too big for the holes. But she's looking really good now, and happy with that. And that's silver Motolo pen. Yeah, I think that's how you say it. I'm not really sure how you say it, but the Molotow pen, the chrome pen. So, and it's not quite as shiny as the actual chrome, but looking pretty good. So I've got some more detail painting, but the next time you see this one, it will be done. So, and then here's the exhaust tips right there. So not much left for this one to do. Did detail out the dash. Didn't show you this yet. That's just hand painting and getting all of that detailed, which looks really good. And I left it out of the interior so that I can show you in this video before I glue it in place. And the steering wheel, which really nothing fancy with that. It's pretty much all black other than the Pontiac emblem in there. So I'll get that glued into the interior, and the interior glued in. And then I still got to mount a mirror to the outside and put a mirror on the inside, but going with the plain chrome mirror on this one. So next time you see this one, it will be done, and I'll be doing the final on it, the build video. So thank you for watching and subscribing and tuning in. I really appreciate that, and I feed off of it, and you guys motivate me to get some of these done. So all of these projects pretty much have been sitting. So showing them and sharing them with you guys is really motivating me to get them done. So for that, I thank you guys very much, and that's one of the reasons why the comments mean so much to me. But I appreciate it. You guys, you have a wonderful Saturday, and I'll see you next Saturday.